Joined the Marines or were you drafted?
I volunteered.
You volunteered?
Yeah.
Why did you want to be a Marine?
Well, I got tired of working for nothing. And that's how I could find some money somewhere. So I went in the Marine Corps.
Now, did you think about being one of the first blacks to go into the Marine Corps?
No, I didn't think that's what at that time.
You didn't think about it?
No.
Did you know any other people who had gone into the Marines when you went in?
No, I didn't know
You
him then.
So who led your training?
All the blacks were instructors.
So when you were there, did you interact with the white Marines that were on the base?
There was none there.
There were none there.
They hadn't integrated at the time.
What about at Camp Lejeune? Did you ever go over there? Did you ever go over to Camp Lejeune?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's where we took the training at Camp Lejeune.
And how were the people in the town of Jacksonville?
We would never mix. It's just like me. Cause we hadn't integrated at the time. So they went on the same thing was going on here.
So when you left Montford Point, where did you go?
We went to, first we went to Panama Canal. They ship had to do, like you coming in there, steps. It should go into the lots like this, and it raised it up a step. And to go through the 8 of them, got 8 to go through. So it took us 8 hours.
8 hours to go through the locks.
Yeah, go through the lots. Once we go to the lots, Pacific Ocean, yeah. Sometime or another back, a long time ago, they dug that canal by hand. And they left it at that Pacific and go down to the lot and come back in Pacific about 20 miles out. Just the way to keep the enemy sub from Germany from coming into Pacific. And so we left there about 5 o'clock after got to the lots. Next morning I woke up, we were back there. On account of we had a boiler to bust or something. It got repaired there. Next time I saw land, 40 days and 40 nights. The reason for that, Pacific was hot with subs, back then Japanese subs. So they would probably call the ship manager and tell them where we were. So we did a lot of zigzagging. That's why it took us so long to get over there. And once we got over there, somebody had to go on guard duty. That was me. They called me first. Scared to death. I had never been out 10 miles out by myself. We call it the boondocks. See? And so I walked there by myself. 17 years old. You weren't allowed to talk to nobody. You just walk the guard duty and do your job, that's all.
How many of you were on that boat? How many were on the boat? How many went over with you on the boat?
Oh, Lord, 5,000 on that ship, plus our equipment, and I was surprised myself when we got ready to unload it, you know. And I was in the 7th Marine Corps, ammunition, 7th ammunition for the 2nd Marines, you see. We had to transfer ammunition in places where the Marine could get to it. See?
So it took you those 40 days to get across the Pacific, and where did you land?
Guadalcanal.
Guadalcanal.
Yeah.
What was happening there?
Nothing, because they had done took that out and gone on further up. Well, I tell you, about a month or two, we left there and moved with Saipan. Matter of fact, I was all over the Pacific. Because I was going Marine. Because we had to transfer the ammunition where they needed it, you know.
So you were following wherever they were fighting.
Yeah.
So when you got to Saipan, was the fighting still going on?
No, they had left that too.
So did you stay on Saipan or did you go to other places?
All the other places.
Where else did you go?
Went to Fiji and Myrtle Island and went to a number of places.
So did you ever get where any of the fighting was going on, or was it always done when you got there?
We was in the area fighting.
You were in the area of the fighting?
Yeah, I was in the area. Well, I never done a real fight. The only thing we done with the first ammunition. But, now we had live ammunition ourselves in case we had to fight. And now them Japanese, they won't no fool now. They had mountain up, you know, and they had what you call a pill box. They was in that, cause they knew we were coming, cement all around. And see, they could look down on the Pacific. You coming in, you probably never get in. Cause they had advantage of it, you know, by shooting. But the Navy, the United States Navy, they shelled that place for about 2 days. Like I said, with big shells and whatnot. But that thing built so strong, it didn't hurt them that much.
Was that as close as you got to any real fighting?
Yeah. So, of course, I didn't try to be no hero. So I want to live. And I'm glad I didn't send me in that fight. I probably wouldn't have been here today. 'Cause like I said, that was a bloody war.
Some people said that one of the reasons they liked the Marines was the uniform. Did you ever feel a special closeness to the Marine uniform?
Oh yeah, felt proud of their uniform. I know the thing where my wife done took my uniform. I had a blue. She just took my uniform and put it in the barrel, packed it down. It didn't mean nothing to her, but it did to me. When I found it too late, cause most of it got to it.
So did you have to throw it away?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how long were you in the islands before you could come back to the United States?
How long I was over there?
Mm-hmm. How long were you over there?
I was over there 3 years.
3 years?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the hardest thing about your duty over there?
I don't know, that thing was hard. Because when I came up, my dad had me doing all kinds of work. And so I was used to hard work. So really, nothing didn't bother me because I had guys a whole lot older than I was, couldn't make it. They turned a few off back because they couldn't make it. You might walk, say, 20 miles a day, and lunchtime, truck come brings your food to you. You imagine a lot of time, why you didn't let me ride back to camp? But I tried to walk back, but you didn't do it. You had to walk.
So after your 3 years, you came back in 1946?
Yeah.
And where did you land?
California.
Thank you.
Landed in California. We went to another base out of California. The next day, I got out there and went to a camp my brother was supposed to be in, but he had done left. He was in the Navy. But he done left. So when I came home from California, I was about 2 days behind him. He done come home.
How did you get from California to the Carolina?
Train.
On a train.
Yeah. We got on a train, California, went to Chicago, left Chicago, went through the mountain of out of Tennessee, and wound up back in Florida. I couldn't understand that. Then we went to the Iowa camp and got out.
So was the train you came back on segregated? Was it all black too when you left California?
Yeah,
It was.
all black troops. I think that war done the black a lot of good. Some guy didn't come back home. They stayed in Chicago, New York, got better job what they had down here. That's why you see black kind of got up in the world. They stopped working for nothing.
Did it help you get a better job when you got back home?
Well, what we done, we bought this farm here. Me and my brother, there was 3 of us, bought it. 300 and some acres. And we tended that farm up until about a few years ago. And I started farming when I was worked for the state 20 years. And I also worked for North Carolina Mutual as an agent, selling the insurance.
And don't you have some things in the Montford Marine Museum?
Yeah, I went there. It's in Montford Point. Yeah, matter of fact, my picture down there in there. Anyway,
Do you think they'll be making movies about the Montford Point Marines one day?
they probably will after I'm gone.
If we make this movie, who do we get to be you?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Okay. Okay. Well, we want to get a picture of your medals up on the wall,
Yeah.
and we appreciate that. And I'm glad that I was able to get here and talk with you. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're quite welcome.